Welcome back, horticultural friends. This is just a bit of an intro for part 2 because of something that was highlighted to me by an ex-employer, well, boss actually. She sent me an article which I'm going to put down in the description below. Really interesting article about the fact of how controversial apparently the Ventnor Botanic Gardens is, and how there's been a bit of an uproar with the Friends of the Botanic Garden, which is basically members of the Botanic Garden which donate towards the garden so they can buy more plants, and some of the local islanders, since it's been taken over by an American owner. I forget his name now, but their grievances were to do with the fact that apparently they're saying it's no longer a botanic garden. Things aren't labelled very accurately. There's lots of weeds. It's gone downhill. But then I'm also seeing other stuff on social media where people have been the last few years and they say it's getting better and better. I'm just going to give my opinion here, which may or may not be worth anything to you. But I did used to work at Oxford Botanic Gardens. And that was very highly funded. We had lots of gardeners for a very, very small botanic garden, and it was immaculate. Everything was labelled. Very few things were mislabelled, and if they were sorted out. They were constantly checked. We had a huge department for a tiny botanic garden, and it was really well funded, thanks to Louise. And that's why it was so immaculate. But that is one of the better botanic gardens in the country. Now, it's for most botanic gardens or gardens, that's not sustainable. I mean, they haven't got funding. They haven't got someone like the Oxford University behind them. It's not as easy for them to get that kind of funding, and they've got to make money. And as you'll read from this article, it was originally run by the council, who were losing $250,000 a year, and that is just not feasible. And what is the greater, to me, I walked around the garden, and the overall impression of the garden I thought was amazing. There was a few things that didn't have labels, but it's not the end of the world. A lot of things were labelled. You just had to try and find the labels. I think it was really well presented, and the way it was managed more holistically. So, when I worked at the Botanic Gardens, there was barely any weeds at all. Now, there was some bits which were more wild. They obviously blitz areas, go through them, plant them up, and then they come back around to them periodically. And they leave things like leaf litter and stuff on the floor. So the way it's managed is actually probably more environmentally friendly, and the plants that you see there are probably growing more like they would in the wild, rather than pruned to look their best possible form or to look as neat and tidy as possible. So that's my take on it. I think it's still a very worthy garden to visit. Sorry about this really long intro, and sorry about that noise. I can't control the neighbours. Anyway, back to part 2 of Ventnor Botanic Gardens. I hope you enjoy it. Special thanks to Ventnor Botanic Gardens, by the way, for allowing me to film. I did say that I was going to put this potentially on a video online, and they were just really lovely. And they've got a great little cafe, and apparently we can come and park whenever we want for the next week. So that's nice. So you only have to pay once. This is an unusual one. This is Proteaceae. We've got a Leucadendron argentea, which you'll probably sometimes get in your flower arrangements. And of course, normally it's not very hardy at all. We've got another little Protea here about to flower as well. So they're going to look amazing when they start flowering. Again, it's something that you would never ever see normally. But yeah, they're fantastic. Unbelievable silver foliage. I don't know if it's coming out on the camera. And here we've got quite an impressive avenue of cordylines, and it just shows you, because I mean, this is how big they can get after a long time. Certainly in Nottingham, but they tend to get quite big like these. Probably not quite as big as these. And then after sort of, 10 or 15 years, we get like a -15 winter and they get checked down to the ground. But I mean, look at that one. That's never ever been frosted down to the ground. These are Tetrapanax papyrifera rex, which you can actually grow. Surprisingly hardy. The tops are hardy to like sort of -10 to -15, but generally, like the cordylines, they will get frosted down to the ground occasionally. You've got to get them big, really, and then they're a bit more frost resistant. But as you can see here, these have no problems. And I'm willing to bet your bottom dollar they do not wrap these Japanese bananas like I have to. But if you are going to grow a banana, that's the one to grow, because it's root hardy down to probably -15 Celsius once it's established. But like I say, I have to wrap mine up, and they don't get as tall as this. They probably get about, these must be 20 foot tall. Mine probably get about 15 foot and then flower, because of course they're monocarpic. But yeah, really impressive. This is a conservatory plant. I think it's called Spartamanii. I'm not even going to butcher the name, but you can't grow that outside where we are for sure. There's some great pseudopanaxes around here as well. Just here, some beautiful long borders with some more sort of the regular plants that you expect to see in a garden, like the Alstroemeria India summer. Great plant, that flowers all summer. Hot Lips, which is a good performer, but I'm not a fan of red and white. Lots of daylilies, cannas, geraniums, that sort of thing. Salvia nactilinda here. But with still exotic things like the phormiums and the echiums in the background. But yeah, this is quite a pleasant border here. Oh, I've just seen another lizard. They're just so fast it's hard to catch them. So another thing you're likely to see, as well as lizards at Ventnor Botanic Gardens, is red squirrels. Because the Isle of Wight is obviously an island. The greys never got here, the American grey squirrels, so we're really lucky. This is the first time I've ever seen a red squirrel. Beautiful. Hello. That's pretty cool. For those that do have children, it has a park, which is always a good thing if you're having to drag unwilling relatives along on your travels. I mean, it's a real splendid place, this. It's worth coming just to see the red squirrel and the lizards, let alone the rest of the garden, and it's not actually that expensive. You can see here we've got a fantastic plantation of Eucalyptus, really close together. Wonder what the plan is with these. But I mean, this beautiful silvery one, I don't know what it's called. Begins with D, I think. And so there's some more giant eucalyptus in there as well. But yeah, this is obviously going to be left to grow into a big woodland. Much like this, I guess. And of course, we're right by the sea. And when I'm driving round, there's very few tall trees on Isle of Wight. And it's because everything is absolutely battered by the prevailing winds. So I think that these Eucalyptus are acting as a bit of a microclimate for these large leaf plants that we've been looking at to stop the leaves from tearing in the wind. Certainly some of the Trachycarpus that they've got here generally don't like to be in coastal areas because of that wind. This is one of my favourite underused plants. It's next to the play park here. Melianthus major. And that is pretty hardy actually. I grow that in Nottingham. Cold winter will knock it down to the ground. Has quite unusual red flowers. And I'm not quite sure, with this beautiful big silvery foliage, why people don't grow it more. It just requires free draining ground. This is the tropical glass house. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to film in here without me steaming up, because my glasses are steaming up. But lovely. Some giant Victoria Amazonia water lilies. I nearly completely missed this area, unbelievably. It's tucked behind the tropical glass houses, and you can see there's this Aloe striatula. I think it's changed its name to like Aloiampelos now or something like that. But that's actually quite hardy, and it just forms these massive mounds and has these yellow like poker flowers. And you can see on the backdrop we've got these huge Phoenix canariensis. Puya's here about to flower. Amazing Puya. That's these giant spiky things. Now interestingly, this Puya here, look, see, there is one variety called P.chilensis, which gets particularly big and has big yellow flowers. And it's actually been known to catch and kill sheep because these are viciously spiny, and they think it's what you call a passive carnivorous plant. So it passively uptakes the nutrient. So here we can see we've got a beautiful avenue of Phoenix canariensis, and some of them are huge, and a mixed bank of agaves. Most of these look to be salmia or salmiana, or however you say it, ferox. Some of the others are americana. And we've got these fantastic Aloe polyphyllas just here. And they have this amazing corkscrew effect. If you can see, you can almost just get lost in the middle of these. And they're one of the hardiest aloes you can grow. They're not cheap at all. But if you can get one and you've got a sheltered spot, they're definitely worth a go. Now, just above those, I believe these two here, they look very different to the rest of the Phoenix. I think they might, someone can correct me if they think I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they might be something else. Maybe a Jubaea or something like that. Their trunks are a lot wider too. And up here we've got a large collections of Washingtonias, which you do sometimes see in London. But yeah, can't really grow them where we are in Notts unless you live right in the city centre with all the urban heat. But yeah, absolutely fantastic, this garden is. We've even got some prickly pears and some cacti. I'm not sure what type of cacti they are. This is a Brahea armata, this beautiful palm here. There's one either side. They are hard to grow. And you can see even here in this mild conditions, I think that might be that's either a type of Puya or a Puya hybrid that is struggling. So it just shows they're not as hardy as people make out. But all these different prickly pears, I would not envy the gardeners weeding around those. There we go, Echinopsis. Another Echinopsis. They're generally considered to be the hardier of the cacti. And I believe these are the P.chilensis, the ones which are meant to accidentally catch sheep and kill them. Yeah, there we are. It was Jubaea chilensis. And they are really fat palms, even compared to the phoenix. Really quite. You can see why they call them the bottle, the jelly. These are almost gone extinct in the wild because I think they tap the trunks for jelly or something to make some sort of wine or jelly. This little area here is really quiet, and it's absolutely full of Agapanthus, and I imagine this is going to look spectacular in about a month, or maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. All these palms these Jubaeas and Washingtonias are underplanted by them, and they won't be your regular Agapanthus. I mean, they're huge. I mean, it's nearly my chest height. They're going to be whoppers, like the size of footballs, I should imagine. So, back in the subtropical garden, which is probably one of my favourite bits, although the Mediterranean bit's amazing as well. Yeah, what a garden. If you come to Isle of Wight, you've got to come here. It's absolutely fantastic. It gives me a lot of inspiration, even though there's a lot of stuff here that we can't actually grow in Nottingham. But there is a lot of stuff we can. And a lot of the stuff in the garden, which is creating this amazing effect, is from the much hardier plants. And I love exotic stuff. I'll have to do a tour of my front garden. But yeah, if you're in Isle of Wight, you've got to come here. You can see the terrapin in the pond, the lizards, the red squirrels. I really recommend it. And if you love your palms and you love your exotic plants, it's a must. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Ciao, ciao for now.